I bought every single blush that is sold in store at Sephora, so you don't have to, and today we're gonna put them all to the test. Don't forget to comment below. I wanna know what your favorite ones that you saw. Tell me your favorite cream, tell me your favorite powder, tell me why. Tell me if I missed a good color. Tell me all of the things. I really want your feedback because this was a really fun video. It's going to be a long one, so get comfortable. And we're gonna start with the least expensive and then go all the way to the most expensive. And I cannot wait to share what the most expensive one is. Now, the least expensive blush that we're gonna start out with is actually Sephora brand. This was $14, which in the grand scheme of all these blushes is such a bargain. Such a bargain. When I picked this up and I saw it was only 14 bucks, I was like, hallelujah. Adds to cart or basket right then and there. So this is the colorful matte Sephora brand blush. I got the shade Love Child. It's just a really pretty light peach. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about the colors and the shades that I purchased. It's really going to be all about how they apply, how they blend out, what the pigmentation is like, and the color payoff, those technical things. So not really so much the color, but I did pick out some really pretty colors, you'll see. Now, to apply a powder brush, I would recommend something a little more fluffy like this. I like this kind of size as well. This is a Refy 24 brush. I'm gonna dip into that powder blush. I'm gonna tap off the excess. This is just a good rule of thumb. So tapping it off, I'm gonna look into my mirror and I'm gonna just tap it onto my skin. Pigmentation is really nice. Really, really nice. That's a beautiful, very well pigmented blush. Looks really smooth. It definitely has a matte finish like it says it does. All in all, for $14, let's say I was just starting out as a makeup artist and I was building up my kit and I wanted some affordable, high quality powder matte blushes. Back in the day, I would have purchased all of these, like every single shade, because this looks beautiful, was incredibly easy to blend out, very easy application, and it is nice and smooth. There's no patchiness. And the overall color payoff is really nice and even. So solid pick. Would I repurchase this? Absolutely. Next up on the list, this is an $18 cream blush. It's from the brand LYS, which stands for Love Yourself. I love that. I think that's amazing. I actually have used this formula before. One of my clients had this when it was just launched, and I know I like this formula. So I picked up the shade Kindness. And I just want to point out the value for $18 is undeniable. You get a lot of cream blush for 18 bucks. I love the shape of this too, and I don't typically like anything but a round shape with my blushes because I like to be able to like just dip my brush in and get every single area of the blush, if that makes sense. I am going to pick up a favorite brush of mine for cream products and liquid products, but creams especially. It's a BK Beauty 106. I'm gonna dip into Kindness. Thank you. Now, taking that product that's on my brush, it's nice and evenly distributed throughout. I'm gonna take that and just tap it on. I think I need a little more on my brush. I didn't quite get enough. There we go. So this actually looks very similar to the last blush. I know. But it's in a cream formula. This does have a nice, more of a matte finish for a cream blush, which I really like. I think that's great for like more oily skin. People out there, if you're afraid of using a cream blush because you think it's gonna look, you know, really overly shiny on top of your oily skin, then look for a formula that's similar to this. This has a nice like satin matte finish to it, which I really like. But all in all, this is beautiful. Great color payoff. To me, this checks all the boxes. This was incredibly easy to apply. It's not patchy. Really, really nice product. Really nice blush. And for $18, like I said, the value that you get for that is amazing. So LYS Kindness Cream Blush. Okay, to give you all a little behind the scenes of what it takes to apply multiple blushes in the same video and take them off and reapply. And also for context too, I wanted to mention the product that I have on my skin and that I'll be wearing for all of these blushes is the DIOR Backstage Face and Body. This is a satin finish. And I think it's important to point out that it's a good skin-like finish, which I think is the best for testing out finishes of different blushes. So this is gonna be the same foundation throughout all of these blush applications. Now, as you can see, I'm taking off each blush in between. I'm grabbing a damp, barely damp beauty sponge, tapping in that face and body foundation. This is gonna be my quickest way to switch out the blushes in between. Laying this dry down just a touch and then going on to the next. We have officially reached the 20 and over category. This one is $20. It's from Glossier. It's their kind of an OG formula. It's the Cloud Paint. I bought the shade Dusk, but I used to use this many years ago when it was first launched. I remember enjoying it and liking it for more of a natural finish blush. So let's test it out again. Now this is a squeeze tube. The best way, in my opinion, to apply this is not to directly dab it onto your skin. You really don't want to do that. Instead, take a little bit, squeeze it out on the top of your hand or a painter's palette, whatever you're comfortable using. From there, I'm going to take just another stippling brush. I'm going to take that brush, thoroughly get that product into the bristles, take the product and the brush and press it onto my cheeks. Okay, so I did get a good amount on my brush. I'm going to just dip into a little bit more just to give it the benefit of the doubt that maybe I didn't put enough on my brush. Okay, here we go. Color payoff is not the best. I don't love the color payoff. This is making my foundation underneath become a little patchy. It's not an even application, even though I did my best technique to ensure that it does go on evenly, which is what you just saw by the tapping and working it into the brush. That is always my foolproof way of getting a smooth application and even application of color on my cheeks. That did not work. So it tells me that's the formula and it's not the technique. I have a huge patch right here for some reason that I just can't seem to work out. And it's not because my makeup was super wet underneath. My makeup was definitely dried down, so it shouldn't be that. Formula-wise, not happy with it. I would not repurchase this, personally. It's just not the kind of formula and not the kind of characteristics I look for with a liquid blush especially. So that was the Cloud Set formula from Glossier. It's $20. Would I repurchase it? Personally, no. This next blush is also $20, and this is in a cream form. This is a very, very popular formula and brand. This is the Tower 28 Beach Please Cream Blush. This is in the shade Office Hours. When I went in store to Sephora, I had a hard time choosing between all the pretty colors that they have. I know I'm gonna go back and end up getting more of these. One quick note about the packaging. I love how small, compact, and sleek this is. But that aside, cream formula, I'm gonna grab a clean 106 from BK Beauty, taking that, dipping into this fresh, new, and beautiful blush. I'm gonna work it onto my brush. You know, we're gonna go with this amount. I'm not gonna over buff it into my brush. We're gonna go with this amount and start to tap it on just like all the others. Okay, it's gonna look like a lot. I know. Well, I know I have a lot on my brush. I acknowledge that. But the pigmentation, even though I know this is a lot, I can still tell that it's a beautifully pigmented blush. Like the color pigmentation is very well done. So this blends out like a dream. Super easy, very smooth. There's no patchiness. It's not lifting up my foundation underneath. The color payoff is just beautiful. I love the finish it gives. It's like a shiny satin. Beautiful. Formula-wise, stunning. Would I repurchase this? Absolutely. Am I gonna go and pick up some different shades of this formula? 100%. So definitely worth the money. This is only $20. Great packaging. Overall, I think this is a great buy. Next up is another $20 price range blush. This is also a cream formula. It's from the brand Refy. I love a lot of their brow products. I think the blushes are new to the brand. Or at least I haven't seen them until just now when I did this video. I bought the shade Malaya, and I want to talk about the price for what you get. So it's $20. It's the same price as the Tower 28. Now the Tower 28, I think it's good to point out, is a decent amount of product. This is 0.16 ounces. This one for the same price is 0.05 ounces. Just offering, that information and comparison just so you have it thrown out there. I picked out a really pretty color, I think. Okay, now with this one, I am going to work it onto the top of my hand because I don't know this formula. I want to give it a good, fair try. So just like that. Now I'm going to take that brush and pat it onto my cheek. So this is a formula I can just tell. It's one of those creams that you kind of have to warm up beforehand. Guarantee if I hadn't done that trick using that on the top of my hand first, I would have had a really hard time blending this onto my cheeks. So with that said, with the way I applied it, it's not patchy, but I've definitely had to work a little harder to make it go on even. So a little patchiness going on right here. That could be my skin starting to get irritated. It hasn't left a huge impression on me. It's a nice formula. Do I think it's worth $20? I'm gonna say no, and that's just because the value that you can get with the Tower 28 and especially that LYS that was only 18 bucks and you get a massive amount of cream blush that's a beautiful formula, I'm gonna say no. So to me, I would pass on this one. Just putting it out there, everyone's different. Now, full disclosure, I received this in PR, so I did not buy it for this video. I bought enough of them. So I took the savings where I could. This is the shade Berry Juicy, and it's a powder formula blush. It's the Cheeky Vegan powder blush to be exact. $21. I'm going to apply this with a 127 Luxe Sheer Cheek from Zoeva. Now, I know this formula, just side note, actually a very big fan of this formula. But let's test out again. I'm going to dip into it. I'm going to tap off the excess. And actually, I have never tried this shade that they had sent me. I've tried it before, but not on myself. Just tap it onto my skin, dip into it a little bit more. So what I do know that I like about this formula, because she has many shades in this formula, what I like is it's has a little bit of luminosity. It's like more of a, it's not a flat matte powder blush. Color payoff is nice. You do get a swirl of different shades and tones in here. So, you know, you want to make sure that you get your brush evenly distributed throughout the whole product. But I do feel like you have to work a little bit harder and you have to finesse this formula just a touch, just a little bit than some of the other powder blushes that are on the market. But all in all, if they didn't send me this formula in PR, I would have absolutely gone out and purchased it to try it out because I am a big fan of Huda Beauty and I love most of her stuff. So $21, it does look pretty small. It is pretty small, but $21 is not that bad for a powder blush. But I do like the formula. I think it's nice. Went on evenly and I would buy it. Moving on to the $22 range. This next one is from Beauty Blender. I didn't know they had blushes. I know they have a foundation. I think that's all I knew that they had other than the sponges. This is the Bounce Liquid Whip Cream Blush. I bought the shade Flirty Rose. I thought it was really pretty, cute. Packaging wise, I like that it's small, just like the Tower 28. I like these little small, compact, clear, very straightforward, no mumbo jumbo, you know, just nice. Like I said, it's $22 and let's test it out. I'm gonna grab another clean 106 from BK Beauty. This also feels like it's got a hard layer to it, much like the Refy one. So since I feel like it has like a hard layer, I'm gonna really get my brush into it. I'm gonna warm it up and then I'm gonna also, just to really be careful, I'm going to work it on the top of my hand, pre-warm it up, and now take that and tap it on. Ooh, hold on. I got a little too excited for this one actually. Okay, so I seem to have made a mistake because once I dipped back in for more product, because you saw like I didn't, you know, I worked into the top of my hand. When I applied that first coat, it didn't really show up enough. So then I dipped back in, tapped in again. Clearly I still put too much product on, just to be honest. So that is my mistake. It is very pigmented once you really dip into the product. It is more on the patchy side. I'm having a little bit of a difficult time getting a smooth application. You know, color payoff aside, because I know I have a lot of product on, but that shouldn't matter. I'm still having a hard time getting it to blend out smoothly, if that makes sense. So it doesn't matter how much or how little product you have on, if it is not blending out smoothly, that's something I look for with the blush. And, you know, once you keep at it and you keep working at it, it's fine. It's okay, you know, it's fine. But the amount of work I've had to put into making this look even, I'm not a huge fan of this formula. Application was hard. Color payoff is good, but if it shows up patchy and it's hard to blend, then it's a no for me. So I wouldn't repurchase this one. Okay, this next one I'm very, very excited for because I've been meaning to try this formula from Rare Beauty for a really long time now. I have tried the liquid, which is coming up right after this formula, but I've never tried the cream. So the cream is $22. Beautiful packaging. This like cute little Polly Pocket, domed, you know, like just, it reminds me of like a Polly Pocket. If you know what I'm talking about, please let me know. It's like an old school toy. But look how beautiful that is. But, you know, packaging aside, color aside, even though this is a stunning color, I got the shade Nearly Neutral. Let's test it out. Let's see how it looks on. I'm gonna take that brush, dip in. I like, just off the top of my head, I like that this is a raised product. So it's just very easily accessible. It's just cool. So I am gonna warm it up on my hand just a little bit. Actually, I think I need a little more. There we go. And now I'm going to apply it to my cheeks. Okay. Well, that's what I'm talking about. That was really easy. You can definitely build this one up. This is going on really easy. Just tapping it in, bouncing it onto my skin. That's really pretty. Color payoff is very nice. I didn't have to struggle. I'm already done blending it, which says a lot. It's nice when a product just kind of blends itself. Like if you have the right brush especially, obviously that's going to make a world of difference, which is why I'm using certain brushes for certain formulas. So yeah, I love that. I think that's really pretty. I definitely would purchase this again, and I probably will purchase another one at some point to put in my makeup kit. I do like the shiny finish too. I feel like it has a little hint more of like a shiny finish. It's like a satin finish, I'd say. Really pretty. This next one is also from Rare Beauty. This is a viral blush, and I think for really good reason. I've actually talked about this many times. I think this is an incredible formula. It's so highly pigmented. You need the tiniest drop of this. So I want to point out, this is only $23. It's only $1 more than the cream. But the amount of product that you get in this and the value versus this one is huge. And I'm not saying this is a bad value, but what I am saying is this is an incredible value. So this is the shade Encourage. This is actually the shade that I use for my Rare Beauty full face. Let me show you again what this looks like on in case you missed that video. So I'm gonna take one dot, and this is how I like to apply this, how I suggest everyone applies it, because it's a good foolproof way of applying it. So take that, you're gonna dot it onto your hand. Less is more. For this, I'm going to apply it with a BK Beauty Angie Hot and Flashy A507. I'm gonna work it into my brush. I love this color. I want more of these, but I'm not gonna give it away yet. So let me tap this onto my cheeks. Now, a couple things to point out. There are some learning curves with this blush. You need to be careful what your product is that's underneath. Let's say you have a heavily powdered base and you're putting this liquid on top. You can run the risk of it looking muddy and being patchy. So if you are applying this onto a matte base or even like a satin base, you definitely want to make sure that you're working this into the brush first before you apply it to your skin. And the other way that I suggest you apply it is in this motion, this gentle, light tapping motion. To round up my thoughts of this blush, I'm a huge fan of this formula. Huge. So I love the way it performs. I have it down as far as like technique on how to apply it to make it nice and easy. And the color payoff to me is just unbelievable. The color payoff actually reminds me of like a pro brand, it's like a pro makeup brand. Would I repurchase this? Absolutely. Am I going to get more colors? 100%. Okay, next we have one that is $23. It's another cream formula. It's from the brand Melt. I actually really love this brand for so many reasons. But this is the cream blush in the shade Sandy Cheeks. I'm going to apply it also with a clean Angie Hot and Flashy A507. I'm gonna dip into it. Wow, that already seems really nice and easy and wow, heavily pigmented. Hold on, one more note. This actually smells really nice. Made in Italy, that gets me right there. Italy makes some of the best makeup, so that's awesome. I'm going to tap it onto my cheeks. Wow. Okay, this is no joke as far as pigmentation. This is a pigmented blush. Holy moly. Okay, so I have a lot on, but that's okay. That blends out perfectly. I'm barely tapping this on. It has done all the work for me. The color payoff is absolutely stunning. It is smooth. It has a beautiful creamy finish. It's not like overly glossy, which I don't personally like, and that's a personal preference, but incredibly easy to blend. Like I said, very rich in pigment, like pro style pigment quality. So very impressed with that. The blend is unbelievable. There's no patchiness, there's no streakiness, goes on very even. How much was this one? 24. Did I say it was 23? Oh, sorry, it was 24. Okay, so considering how little you actually need for this kind of color payoff, great buy, $24, solid formula. I'm very impressed. Would I repurchase this? Absolutely. This is the kind of cream blush that I would look for and want to keep in my makeup kit as a professional. So we're staying in the $24 range for a few more products, and the next one up is from Milk Makeup. It's their cream blush. It's actually a lip and cheek product, so you can use it both, which is great. Now, I want to point out, this is $24, and it seems really deceiving. You know, you look at this, or I would look at this anyway, and I would think, $24 for this tiny little stick of blush doesn't seem worth the value. It doesn't seem like you're getting any value. But if you look closer, this is actually 0.21 ounces of product. Now, a lot of the cream formulas I was trying prior to this were roughly 0.14 to 0.17 ounces. Don't judge a book by its cover, basically. You actually do get quite a bit of product in this little tiny vessel because this is actually a twist up. It is tiny, but it's mighty. I am going to try on the color Smirk. Now, this is another blush that I actually did not purchase. The brand sent me all of their blushes. Thank you so much, Milk. Brush from BK Beauty. It's the 109 brush. This has a little angle to it. I'm gonna take this and just load it up. This is a little bit more of a softer tone, so I wanna make sure it's gonna show up on camera. I'm not gonna overdo it, but I'm gonna make sure that my brush is definitely coated. So once it's coated, just for safe measure, tap off a little bit, go into a little more, and now apply it. This is really pretty. Okay, I know we're not talking about color, but I will say I love this color. It's so airy and natural and just pretty. It's very light though, so if you are any bit darker than me, you're not gonna need this color. It's gonna be way too, it's just not gonna be impactful enough. Color payoff is beautiful. It is more of a light color, so it might not be as translating as some of the others on camera. For that, I'm really sorry, but let me just tell you, it's a beautiful color payoff in face to face. And the way this blends out is just easy, really, really easy. I'm done. I didn't have to do much. I actually like how shiny the finish is. And I know they don't all contain this, but this one does contain a little bit of a shimmer, like a very, very fine shimmer in it, which is giving me that light reflecting quality, giving me more of a glow, which is really beautiful. If that's not your style, there's plenty of other solid cream formulas that don't contain the shimmer. They have a huge variety of shades, actually, like a huge variety, which I love. Overall, I think it's a really great formula. But would I actually go out and purchase it with my money? Definitely. This next one is also from Milk Makeup. It is the liquid form. It's also a blush. So they have two. They have the cream and then they have the liquid, kind of like Rare Beauty as well. Now, this is a tiny little package. And so you might think that for $24, you're not getting much for your money. But again, don't be fooled because this is actually 0.28 fluid ounces in this little squeeze tube. So the fact that there's no, applicator inside that's taking up room, they can really be small and efficient with their packaging for that reason because it's just a squeeze tube. For $24, let's test it out. Now, this is mine. I did not purchase this. This was sent to me by the brand in PR. So I'm gonna take it, I'm gonna squeeze it out on the top of my hand. That's probably a good amount. And also this is the shade Infinity. So it's the Bionic blush. I did not mention the name. Same method, try to evenly distribute this throughout my brush, tapping it on. All right, so it's actually pretty easy if you apply it in the way that I just showed you. Now I will say, when I first received these from the brand, I tried to just kind of swipe it on and then blend it out. That was a really bad way to apply it. That was not easy or foolproof. This is a much more foolproof and safe bet in terms of application. Like if you apply it in this way where you pre-work it into your brush before you apply it to your skin, you're gonna have a really easy time. This can be a little bit of a trickier formula if you're not careful. There was a little hint of patchiness going on, but I quickly worked through that. So the formula is good. Color payoff is nice. Finish is pretty. The finish is definitely luminous. One thing I am going to throw in there because of just experience that I have with this blush, I don't think the wear time is good. The wear time is not great. I feel like this is the kind of blush, from my experience, this blush fades very, very quickly throughout the day as you're wearing it. So the wear time isn't ideal for that reason, and for just the reasons of like having to really be thoughtful of the application, like very, very thoughtful. This wouldn't be the first liquid blush that I go out and purchase again. For our last blush in the $24 range, it's actually one of my personal favorites. I've used it since the brand has come out with them many years ago at this point. It is the Fenty Cream Blush. I love this formula. I'm not even biased. I know how well it works. I have at least 4 of these in my professional makeup kit. I have 2 in my own possession. I'm a big fan of these, and I have purchased almost every single shade in this product because I love the performance so much. Now, one of the reasons why I really like this cream blush is because I have more oily skin, like my skin leans towards the oily side, and this cream formula looks just stunning and wears and works so well with oilier skin. Any skin type can wear it, just as a side note, just keep that noted. But If you have oily skin, and let's say you're someone who has been afraid to use a cream blush because you don't want it to make you look even shinier throughout the day, or you think it's not gonna wear, don't be afraid and try this one. It will change your mind. Dip in. I'm not even gonna work in the top of my hand. I'm just gonna directly apply it. I know this formula so well. So taking that, I'm just gonna tap it onto my cheeks. Cool Berry is like one of the most underrated colors too. In my opinion, I feel like nobody talks about Cool Berry, the shade, and I know we're not talking about shades. It is beautiful. Something I want to really point out because I think it's really important and I think it speaks a lot to the quality and the formulation of this cream blush. Now, I knew that I didn't have to pre-warm it up and pre-work it and do all that, you know, all that pre-work before I hit my face with it. That says a lot. That says so much that I was able to just go pan to face and easily blend this out. There was no patchiness. The color payoff is phenomenal. The finish is beautiful. It's not dripping off my face. The other thing I love about this, and I can just speak from so much personal experience, is it wears so well. It wears all day long. It doesn't fade. It doesn't do anything. It just stays put. It does exactly what it says it's going to do. So I am a huge fangirl of this blush. Top 5 favorite cream blushes I've ever tried, formula-wise. Do I purchase this formula all the time with my own money? All the time. And so I would definitely continue to keep purchasing this cream blush from Fenty Beauty. Okay, we are moving on to the $25 range. And the first one I'm going to try on is the Saie Liquid Blush. This is actually the Dew Blush. That's the correct name. It's the Dew Blush, and I got the shade Rosy. A lot of people love this blush, so I'm really, really curious to try this for the first time. I've never tried it. I haven't even tried much from Saie Beauty, to be honest, so this would be a first in many ways. So this has a very similar applicator to the Rare Beauty one. It's like a doe foot. Let's try it on. So same way I applied the other liquid blush, I'm going to take product off the doe foot applicator, just pop it on the top of my hand. That's a really pretty color. Holy moly, I'm very excited for this. I'm gonna work it onto the top of my brush. Wow, that's pigmented. Now let's try it on our skin. Okay, so a couple notes off the top of my head. If you don't pre-blend it very well, now I did pre-blend it, but my mistake, I didn't pre-blend it very well. So what happened is I'm getting some patching going on right here, and it's not going on as evenly as it probably would if I had just worked a little bit harder to pre-warm it up. So just a note, pigment-wise, it is super pigmented. It's beautifully pigmented, very, very rich in pigment. Now, if I just had worked harder to make sure that was like nice and evenly distributed on my brush before it hit my face, it would have gone on beautifully, seamlessly. I did experience that little bit of patchiness right here, but I'm gonna blame myself for that, not the blush. Color payoff is gorgeous. It really did blend out incredibly easy. So I think it's actually an easier liquid blush to use and blend out than a lot of the ones that are on the market. I think this is beautiful. You get a lot of product in this container too. Yeah, for $25, I think this is a great buy. Beautiful formula. I would definitely repurchase this. Next up is also $25. It is a stick form blush. I did not purchase this. Full disclosure, I was sent this from the brand HUDA Beauty in PR when they first launched. It is their cheeky tint blush stick. I'm gonna try on the shade Coral Cutie. It's really cute. These are actually a long wearing cream blush, and they do, in my experience, I've used these many times. They do wear a really long time. So if you have oily skin, this is a good formula for an oily skin person. It will stay put nice and long. So I'm going to work it onto my hand and pre-warm it up. This does contain a little hint of shimmer, actually a lot. Now we're gonna directly apply it to our cheeks. So same motion, you're gonna tap it on. Now, something I wanna point out, because I have a lot of experience with this blush. I've tried it a ton of times. Now, not only that point about not directly swiping it on your cheek because it will destroy the makeup underneath, but the other note I have is if you are not careful and you don't really coat your brush evenly, and I mean like getting all the edges, making sure it's buffed in. If you don't take the time to do that, this will go on patchy. I have nothing horrible against it. I liked it a lot at first, but I've just kind of fallen out of love with it, to be completely honest. Like, this whole video is just meant to be informative, right? So I'm not bashing any brands. I'm just trying to give you like my best information about each blush. So with that said, I just feel like there are better formulas in a stick on the market that I like more. you do get a little less product than this little mini milk one. Okay, next up we have a powder blush. I feel like we haven't had a powder blush in a really long time at this point. This is the Makeup Forever. It is the sculpting powder. It's basically a blush, and it's in the shade S214. A lot of their stuff is geared towards professional makeup artists, so it makes sense that they have refills. It's magnetized on this end, which I'll show you in a second. You know, if you're an artist, you put this into a big empty palette and you have like a whole range, color range going on, which I love. I have tons of blush palettes like that. This is a $25 pan of blush. I'm gonna get a good amount on there. I'm gonna tap off the excess because that's just what I would suggest you do. Just pressing it on. Wow. Easy, straightforward, definitely a pro blush. Like this is something that, you know, it's heavily pigmented. The color payoff is amazing, as you can probably tell, or hopefully you can tell on camera. It has a nice satiny finish, not streaky, amazing quality. I would absolutely go out again and repurchase more of these refills for my professional use. If I was a consumer, this wouldn't be my first pick. Now, I want to point this out. Makeup Forever does sell individual empty components that you put these in. Formula-wise, it is top tier pro quality. All right, I am so excited about this one. So I'm going to try not to be biased in my opinion of it. But I've been wanting to try this since it came out. It's a very, very new blush. It is the Daness and Myricks Yummy Skin Cream Blush. So this is actually, okay, so I want to talk about a lot. Okay, so bear with me. The price of this is $25, middle of the road as far as pricing goes. The amount of product you get is 0.21 ounces. Now what this says it contains is something called, it says with Upsolate technology. We'll just pretend I'm saying that correctly, which is a texture reducing blurring balm to powder with a weightless flush of color. Upsolate visibly creates a soft focus effect on pores and fine lines. I'm sorry if I read that incredibly slow. This writing is tiny. So anyway, I'm gonna get to it, but it is a blurring balm powder, but it's clearly a cream. So I think it could be just a little confusing. We're gonna, without further ado, dip into this blush, and I'm going to use a clean 106 from BK Beauty. We're gonna tap in. I bet you this is very pigmented. I'm gonna work it, yeah, okay. Lucky I did that. See, it's always just a good idea. Until you really know your products, I'm gonna work that in, but how pretty is that? Wow, I barely had to tap that on. Okay, so let's keep it precise. Okay, so the way this applied was like butter. So easy, so beautiful. I did not have to work hard to make sure it wasn't patchy. There's no patchiness, there's no streakiness. The evenness of which it applied was super impressive. The color payoff is gorgeous. It's pro quality. And what I am seeing, maybe this is why it says powder in the title, because it almost does give you a luminous powder finish. It definitely looks blurring. I feel like if you're someone that does have skin texture or maybe dryness in their skin, this would work really, really well. And if you have like larger pores too, I feel like this would be a really great cream formula for you to try. Really, really impressed with this one. Okay, so conclusion wise, I would definitely go out and repurchase this. In fact, I'm probably gonna pick up some other shades from this formula. I think it's beautiful, and for $25, I think it's absolutely worth every penny, to be quite honest. That is stunning. This is the Gen Nude. This is called a Blonzer. It's a blush plus bronzer. This is in the shade Kiss of Rose, which I love the name. It's awesome. Reminds me of like the Seal song, right?
Kiss from a rose.
That one. So this just looks beautiful. And actually, I'm gonna be really honest. I purchased this because I want to put this in my makeup kit. I don't know how it's gonna look on me. I'm sure it's gonna be fine, but oh my God, I can't wait. I want to put this on with more of a fluffy BK Beauty brush. This is the 107. Dip in first. I'm gonna definitely tap off the excess, and we're gonna go for it. Beautiful. There's a little bit of patchiness. I'm gonna be very honest, you know, this video is just to be informative. It's a little patchy at first, okay? You have to work a little bit harder to make it look smooth. It does look smooth now. That didn't take a ton of work. Okay, so that's not bad. So application wise, you'll need to work a little bit at it. It's not gonna be an instant, quick, one and done. That shimmer is stunning. It is a thicker shimmer, like it's showing up a little bit thicker. And to be very, very honest, it's giving me a little bit of a textured look to the inner part of my cheek. I do feel like it's created like a little bit of texture. It's more just like the thickness of the shimmer. It doesn't bother me though. And I still think the color is, I mean, we're not talking about colors, but the color is stunning. I'm kind of in between. So $26, it's not a rip off. It's very average. Makeup's going up and up. Makeup is expensive, let's be real. Would I go out and actually buy this again? It doesn't knock my socks off enough to do that. Moving on to actually the last $26 powder blush. This is also a powder formula. This is from Makeup by Mario. I've always wanted to try this formula. I just yet to have gotten around to doing it. I love his cream formula blushes, like his cream sticks. I love those. They're in my makeup kit and I have some in my personal collection. So I'm really excited to try his Soft Pop powder blush. I ended up getting the shade Mellow Mauve because I don't really have anything that's quite like it. I know you're probably watching at home thinking all these blushes look the same. It's not about the color, remember, it's about the formula and how it wears and applies and all those good things. So let's apply this one with a fluffy brush. I'm gonna dip into that powder formula. Wow, okay, hold on, it looks really pigmented. I'm definitely gonna tap off the excess. Okay, might have dipped too aggressively in that. I think that's my bad. I've never tried this formula, so there's always a learning curve. So we're gonna take that and press it on. Ooh. Oh, wow. Wow. That's stunning. I just dipped in for more. Sorry, I didn't mention that. Maybe I didn't get to tap off all that product. That's so pretty. Oh my God. I just want to keep applying it. Okay, so that's beautiful. Okay, let me get my thoughts together because I'm so stunned by how much I love this finish and this formula. This reminds me a lot of the Makeup Forever one that I applied much earlier at this point. Same kind of color payoff, beautiful color payoff. The formula is phenomenal, but first impression, this is a stunning, stunning powder blush. Definitely worth the $26 just because, oh my God, okay, hold on, one more note. This feels like silk on my skin. I mean, granted, it's a matte blush, but it does give my skin almost like a blurring, like a soft focus kind of filtered effect. I would absolutely go back out and repurchase this probably over and over again. So that's the Makeup by Mario Soft Pop Powder Blush. So moving on to the $28 range, I'm gonna start out with the YSL. This is actually a lip and cheek balmy tint. That is what it's called, but I'm gonna use this obviously as my blush. I bought the shade New Flush, like NU Flush. I have not tried this formula yet. And this is obviously a squeezy tube, so we're going to take it and I'm going to squeeze some out. I'm actually going to use a clean BK Beauty 109. This is that angled one. We're going to definitely work this into the brush before applying it. Okay, this is actually a lot more sheer than what I thought it was going to be. Okay, so it's in the brush. As you can see, now I'm going to tap this onto my cheek. Okay, this is pretty. You might not be able to tell on camera, but it's patchy. It's not horribly patchy, but there's some patching going on. So be careful with how you're applying it. This is definitely not the kind of product that I would suggest you ever dollop on your cheek and then try to work and blend it out. You'll just make a streaky mess, and this will for sure rip through your foundation if you're wearing the foundation underneath. All right, the patchiness is going away as I work the product into my cheek. The color payoff is not incredible. I'm very underwhelmed. I think that's like what comes to mind. 0.5 fluid ounces, it's 15 mil. You actually do get a lot of product for $28. $28 is not that bad for YSL, considering how expensive just their lipsticks alone are, right? I do feel like the color payoff could be a little bit better. I do think it's more on like the sheer jelly side, and as far as like texture goes. If you're not careful, it could be a streaky nightmare or a patchy nightmare. Would I go back out and repurchase this one? No. Moving on to the final $28 blush in this whole range of blushes is one that I'm really, really excited to try. Okay, I know I've said that about a couple of these, but just, being very transparent here. It's the Myricks Flush Balm in the shade Cheeky. So it's $28. You get 0.31 ounces. I really like this container. I love the way this looks. I think it's super cool. Love it. I think it's probably really tempting with this like applicator to just go shh and be done. We're not going to do that here because you're at my channel. I grabbed just a round stippling brush, very similar to the BK Beauty. I'm going to dip this into the product because I know this is the best way in my experience to apply cream formulas, liquid formulas, all those. So this actually does look very pigmented, like very, very pigmented. I'm going to take that. Oh, okay, interesting. Maybe not. Take some more, work it on the top of my hand. And now let's, from here, go on our cheek. Okay. The color payoff is not what I expected. Like, not at all. So I'm gonna dip back in, do the same thing. And yes, could I just dip in and then dip it onto my skin for more impact? Yes, but I just wanna make sure this goes on easy. So that's just why I don't do it. Okay, so I'm just trying to be consistent. Was I expecting more color payoff initially just by looking at this? Yes, but that's not necessarily bad. So I want to point that out. Blendability wise, that blended out really easy, really nice. I don't see any patching going on. Great formula. Has a pretty shiny finish. It's definitely not like a matte cream. It's more of a shiny cream. Would I go out and repurchase it? Definitely. Moving on to $29. We're in the $29 range. We have a couple at the $29 range. The first one I'm going to try on is from Clinique, and this is the Cheek Pop Blush Pop. I bought the shade 17. It looks beautiful. This is honestly going to go right into my makeup kit because I know like this is a kind of blush I love in my makeup kit. But just before I dip into this beautiful flower, like embossed flower, can we appreciate how pretty that is? I know it's $29 and it's kind of a small blush. Use this to dip into that powder blush. Now, with anything embossed like this, where there's different grooves and textures and stuff, you really do have to be careful to make sure you get an even application on your brush before you hit your face with it. So tapping off the excess, that's what we're left with. Now we're gonna apply it. Oh, that's kind of sad. I was hoping for more. It's very patchy. It's not horribly patchy, but there's patchiness going on. Color payoff is okay. It's middle of the road. It's not what I was expecting. Formula-wise, let's stick to the formula. I'm having to like do a dragging motion to blend out the patchiness, which I really don't like to do. I don't like to drag anything down my face. Formula-wise, I'm not really impressed. It's fine. It's pretty straightforward. Just considering that it is $29 and also take into consideration how many like incredible blush formula, like powder blush formulas there are in the market that are like $25 or less, I wouldn't go out and repurchase this one. Moving on, this is also $29. It is the LAWLESS Make Me Blush Velvet Blush. It's a powder blush. I bought the shade Angel Suede. Really excited to try this. This is what it looks like. It's nice, straightforward packaging, which I like and appreciate. So let's pop this on. Okay, for this one, I'm gonna grab a clean 107 from BK Beauty. I'm gonna dip into it and we're gonna pop it on. It is buildable. I've dipped in a couple times now just to build up the color payoff a little more, which again, you know my thoughts now. I don't mind that. That's not a bad thing. Performance-wise, easy to blend on, like very easy to blend on. Let's touch it. Has a nice satiny finish. It has a really beautiful finish. It's a nice blush. Now let's just go back to the price. So we've established it's a good product, it's a good formula, no patchiness, no streakiness that I'm running into at all. It's nice. It's not that it's overpriced for $29. Granted, there are powder blushes that I tried earlier that are less expensive, that are just as good, if not maybe a little bit better. I'm not impressed enough that I would actually go out and repurchase it though. So that concludes this one. This is the LAWLESS Make Me Blush Velvet Blush. This next one is very, very popular at the moment for a couple reasons. The shade in particular is popular at the moment. I have the Too Faced, it's a new formula. It is the Too Faced Cloud Crush Blurring Blush. I bought the shade Golden Hour, which is supposed to be a dupe for this guy. Adorable packaging. So this is just really pretty, really beautiful. It is embossed. This does have a little bit of a sheen to it. It is scented, but what else isn't from Too Faced? Everything from Too Faced is scented in some way. Let's apply it. You know, before I dip in this blush, I struggle with Too Faced. I struggle with the brand as a whole. Without getting too heavily into it, there's another brand down here too, which I struggle with for their lack of range. they've just been really bad with their shade range for a long time. They got away with it for a really long time, but I feel better using their stuff because they actually brought Jackie Aina on to help them with colors, like expanding their shade range. So like color formulations and expanding their shade range for deeper skin tones. But to me, it's like, you know, that's great, but like too little too late. Color-wise, color's beautiful. It's not about that, but the color is stunning. This does have a little hint of shimmer. This blended on really easy. I don't see any streaking. There's no patchiness. It's even. So color payoff is amazing. Blends out very easy, like beautifully and super easy. So formula wise, the formula is great. It's beautiful. It's definitely a stunning formula. You can make really cheap, outstanding blushes. So you're not really paying for the formula, you're paying for this really fun, decorative packaging. So if you're cool with that, which like I told you, I'm a sucker for packaging, so I am cool with that. If you're okay with that, I think it's definitely worth the money. So would I repurchase this? I actually, personal reasons aside that I talked about before this. That aside, would I go back and repurchase this blush? I think I would. I'd even recommend it. Yeah, that's really pretty. I really like that. I think it's worth the hype. This next blush is now $29.50. Very excited to try this. I have not tried any of the new formulas from KVD since they have like kind of rebranded essentially. So this is the Everlasting Powder Blush. I bought the shade Snapdragon. It's like a black rose, which I have like a million roses tattooed on me. I'm gonna dip in. Color payoff looks quite intense. I'm gonna tap off the excess and apply it. Shoot, this is not working out for me. Now I'm gonna take ownership for some of the way this is applied. I think that maybe my skin, with this formula in particular, this is very matte. This is a super matte formula. So with that said, you're not gonna wanna put this on unless you have a completely powdered down face. This did not go on great because it clung, especially right here and right here, it clung to any areas of my face that hadn't dried down completely from like reapplying my foundation. Blushes that are this matte, naturally, they're just going to like stick to those areas. So we're gonna ignore some of the patchiness because I do think I know it's user error, to be honest. Color payoff is incredible. It's heavily pigmented, heavily pigmented. I think that there's still a little bit of patchiness. I am clearly struggling with it. So the fact that you would have to start out with a pristinely powdered base for this to go on really smooth takes it down a couple notches for me. Like that cuts some points off for me right there. So ease of use, I don't think is great for that reason. It's a vegan formula, and which most makeup should be vegan at this point, but whatever, that aside, I think it's okay. But would I go out and repurchase this? No, I wouldn't go out and repurchase this. A little disappointed. Okay, same brand, same price, $29.50. This is now the liquid blush from KVD. I bought the shade Luminary 50. This is the Modcon liquid gel blush. I've heard really good things about this. A lot of people love it. This was launched like maybe 2 years ago at this point. I've been meaning to try it for a really long time. I just never got around to it. Here we are, we're gonna try it for the first time together. I'm gonna squeeze it out on the top of my hand. I really like that applicator. Just gonna point out. Gels are more sheer, so we have to keep that in mind. Now we're gonna just tap it on. It's very wet, very high shine. Wow, wow, that's really shiny. This is very sheer. Oh wow, this feels like a serum. It feels like a hydrating serum, which is actually kind of cool. But on my skin, I just look like I put like a dollop of wet serum on my skin. I don't think this would be a good formula at all for oily skin types. It's breaking down the makeup that's underneath because it is so wet, and it's like a very high shine gel. I was expecting a little more pigment and color payoff than what I'm getting. And I put a good amount on my brush. I really put a good amount on my brush. It is so shiny, but in an almost unflattering way. You don't want this area of your face to be, oh wow, okay, I just accidentally touched it and it all came off. You don't want this area of your face to be so shiny. If you're looking for a highly pigmented blush, this is not gonna be it. If you want something that's gonna be just almost like barely there and incredibly natural, then pick it up. I'm just gonna speak for personal experience now that I've covered, I think, a lot of the bases. So it's not an even application. It is going patchy, it does disrupt the makeup that you wear underneath. It would probably be perfect and ideal for like a no makeup look if you have no foundation on, just like a little spot concealer, and then you put this on your cheeks. I could see it working really well for that kind of case, in that scenario. For this scenario right here, it's a total no. I can't imagine this wearing longer than 2 hours without it dripping off your skin. So with all those things said, would I go back out and purchase this? No. We are now in the 30 and up range. This is from Tarte. It's $30. It is their Amazonian Clay 12-hour blush in the shade Risque. I don't like the claims of like being 12-hour, 14-hour, 24-hour. What's the testing that goes with it? I'm just so curious. This is an old school blush. This blush has been around for a long time. Tarte is Tarte, and we're gonna just test this out. I feel the same way about Tarte as I do Too Faced. So for the same exact reasons. They just need more shades, you know? They've never done a good job. They've never, ever done a good job of being super inclusive and having a broad shade range. It's a BK Beauty Angie Hunt Flashy A507. So dipped in, I tap off the excess, pat this onto our skin. It's pretty. Okay, I just dipped in for more. It's always good to start less, okay? Just if you're trying a new blush for the first time, it's always a good rule of thumb to start slow. Okay, that's pretty. It's a good formula. Definitely pigmented, soft application, blends out easy, is not streaky. Color payoff is really nice. That leaves a really nice feeling on my skin. You can tell it's good quality. It's a high quality powder blush. Personal reasons totally aside, would I actually go out and repurchase this? Probably not. That Makeup by Mario one, it was $26 and I like the finish of it more. But is it a good blush? Yes. Are there better options? Yes. Next up, it's another $30 blush. This one is from Laura Mercier. It's the Tinted Moisturizer Blush. So just going by the name alone tells me if it's a tinted moisturizer blush. They're famous for their tinted moisturizer. I have the color French Riviera. I did get this in PR. I did not purchase this at Sephora. So yay, we got to save a little money. But this is in a squeeze tube, which I do like. I love a squeeze tube. So I'm going to apply this the same way I did the other squeeze tubes. This is a deeper shade for my skin tone. And I'm going to take a clean A507 from BK Beauty. And I'm going to work it into the brush before I apply it to my face. So I'm going to tap this onto my cheeks. Really, I worked so hard. Okay, apparently I didn't work hard enough to get this evenly on my brush, but I did, I thought. All right, so I'm gonna have to do some motions and blending techniques that I don't love to do. So I'm gonna have to really get in there and like hack at my skin, see if we have any luck with a smaller, even more dense brush. All right, so I'm putting a lot of pressure on my face right now. Incredibly hard to make this look even and just to get it to blend. I'm shocked at how dry this formula is for being called a tinted moisturizer blush. This gave me no moisture, really, to be quite honest. Like, it dried down so quick when I was blending this onto my hand. Like, my hand is dry right now. Being marketed as a tinted moisturizer blush, there's no moisture. And I have oily skin. It's not like I'm dry and like my skin's sucking it up. So with that said, the dry down time is not user friendly. So unless you get this on your skin so quick that you can blend it out, color payoff is just whatever. It's extremely patchy. I busted out 2 brushes for this, okay? I don't like this finish. I don't like the formula. It's just dry. And my face feels like it's been through trauma from all that blending and buffing. I don't think this is a good formula. Okay, this next one is also $30. It is a cream blush in a stick form. It is the Makeup by Mario Soft Pop Blush Stick. I have the shade Dusty Rose. It's one of my personal favorites. I also love this one in my makeup kit. It's a really beautiful shade, but shade aside, we're gonna test it out even though I know how it wears, how it performs. I'm a big fan of this blush. I am not on Makeup by Mario's PR, which is totally fine. I'm happy to buy his stuff and to support a fellow makeup artist brand. Like, I'm all about it. This is clean. I'm gonna dip into that cream blush. I'm gonna get a good amount. I'm gonna pre-work it on my hand, pop it on, and I love this blush. I'm dipping into more product because I like to just kind of build this one up. So try not to be biased. There's really nothing to be biased about. It's a great cream blush. It has a nice high shine too, which I do like for some times. Like, not always, but sometimes a really glossy cream blush that has good pigment to it and is easy to blend is just beautiful. So with that said, if you're someone who's looking for like more of a high shine cream blush, It is easy to apply, has good pigmentation, isn't streaky, blends on easy, like I said. Then this is a great, great formula. And I will just say, I don't like built-in brushes. I don't like built-in brushes, and I love Mario so much. But when you're applying your blush, the way it's marketed would be to swipe, flip to the brush part. I do like that there's grooves. That does help. But then you would buff it out and tap it on with the brush. It does add some value if that is something that's important to you. So keep that in mind. It is an added value that you do get a brush. Whether you use it is up to you. I don't. Would I go back and repurchase more? Absolutely. Do I plan on it? Yes. Okay, we're gonna move on. We have one blush in the $31 range. It honestly reminds me of my childhood, not this color in particular, but just the brand benefit alone reminds me so much of my childhood. My mom wears like a speck of makeup. My mom would go to the counter and I would look at all the other products and like the packaging and stuff, and I love the way it looked. So I'm really happy to add this to my collection. Long story short, I ended up getting, because there were so many to choose from, but I ended up getting the shade Dandelion. Well, it's described as a baby pink blush, and it really is. So let's open it up. It's so pretty. We're gonna use this to dip into Dandelion. I'm gonna tap it on. Okay. Now granted, I know this is a very light shade. So as a viewer, at home, it's probably not gonna be the most visible blush because of the color. Easy to blend. Like very, very easy to blend. It is very buildable. It's not the most pigmented. It is a little on the chalky side. I'm excited because it's nostalgic to me. Color payoff is not great. I know it's a light color, but I still just feel like I had to like layer it just to get any color payoff. Finish is pretty. It has that soft shimmer to it, so it's more of like a luminous blush. It's a little bit of an outdated formula. So would I go back and purchase it again after this video? No. Okay, we're moving on up to the $32 range. This is the Ilia Color Haze Multi-Use Pigment. So multi-use, you could use this in theory anywhere you want. I know firsthand these are actually really nice as lipsticks, but they also are great as liquid blushes. So it has like a little metal squeezy. It looks like a lip balm. So I'm gonna squeeze some out, put it on the top of my hand. I'm actually gonna use a 112 brush from BK Beauty. I'm gonna first take this, I'm gonna dip into the blush. Wow, it smells like cupcakes or white chocolate. And Ilia is a really natural brand, so I know that they didn't fragrance this. So I wonder, I'm gonna have to look into like what's actually, it smells incredible. It smells so good. Packed into my brush, I'm gonna directly apply it to my skin now. I forget how much I like this little brush for blending on cream products. So with this product, and I already know this because I have a lot of experience using this formula in the past. With this formula, if you're not careful, it will go on patchy. I'm just gonna say it. I've always known there's like a little bit of a learning curve with this formula. It is, however, very, very pigmented, like highly pigmented. A little bit does go a long way. So you really need a small amount of this product to get what you want, to get like color payoff. But if you're not careful, it will go on patchy. So just something to note. I also love that it really is pretty on the lips. It's a really nice formula on the lips. You could even take a little bit of this with your fingertips, tap it on your eyelids just to get like a little flush of color, like a little shinier than what I remember them. I remember them drying down to be a little more matte, so maybe they reformulated them or tweaked them a little bit. Would I repurchase this? Yes, I would. Next up is also $32. It's in a stick form. It's the Anastasia Beverly Hills. This is the stick blush. I bought the shade Peach Caramel, which I'm really excited about. I'm really, really excited to put this. I'm probably gonna put it in my kit. I'm not gonna lie. A couple things to point out just really quick. This does come with a brush on the other end. Also removable to clean, so good, you can be sanitary. But this brush is useless to me. I'm not trying to be mean, but to be able to like swipe this on and then magically blend it out and have it look flawless is like a dream. Like that's stiff. I can't think of anything I would use this for, to be quite honest. Let's talk about the formula. So to apply this one, I'm gonna grab a clean 106 from BK Beauty. Side note, I've heard really good things about this formula, so I'm really excited to try it. I'm going to just work this on my hand just really quickly. So it looks like it's gonna be a really pigmented blush, which is great. Tapping it on. I know we're not talking about color, but this color is stunning. Absolutely stunning. Color payoff is amazing. Goes on easy. I'm not seeing any patchiness. Really easy to blend out. Honestly, that's really, really easy to blend out. That's a really nice cream blush formula. Yeah, would I repurchase this? Definitely. Definitely. I actually really would highly recommend this, to be honest. For like a cream blush formula, I think this is beautiful. Okay, so this next one is also a stick blush. It's a cream stick blush. It is from the brand Jouer. Now, a couple things. I did not purchase this one. I have worked with the brand many times. I actually do a lot of their campaigns for makeup. Love this brand, and I have received a lot of their products from PR, this long story short. So I did not purchase this. So with that said, we are going to put on the Jouer Cheek and Lip Duo. So what I love about this is you actually get a great value. Okay, so you get 2 different blushes in one stick, which is amazing. So it's $32. It's the same as the Anastasia Beverly Hills, but instead of having a little dinky brush, on the other end, you have 2 colors. So on each end, you get 2 different shades. This one in particular is the Celebrate Me or Celebrate Duo. So you get the shade Celebrate Me and Promise Me. You know, that's great. Like, that's value. For this video, I think I'm gonna put on, because I know I love Promise Me, but I don't use the shade Celebrate Me enough on me. So I'm gonna work it on the top of my hand and then apply it. So I've been a fan of this cream formula blush for years now. Years. Now, I know I'm spoiled. They sent it to me, but let me just put this out there. If they didn't send it to me, I would be buying all of these blushes. They're great blushes. They are amazing quality and amazing performance. So that just blends out so easy. The pigment is there. There's no streaky and it's not breaking down the makeup underneath. It's just a great blendable formula. I love this cream formula. I've been a fan of it, like I said, for a really, really long time now. So it just will not disappoint you. This cream blush never disappoints me. I have quite a few of these in my professional makeup kit, and it's something that I grab so often for my clients because I love how it looks. I love how it wears. I love how it blends. It just checks all the boxes for me. I would absolutely go and purchase these cream blushes from Jouer. Okay, next on our list is $32. It is the classic NARS Orgasm Powder Blush. So another note, I did not go out and purchase this. I had this in my possession. I also have one in my makeup kit. Mine might look a little different. Mine's a limited edition packaging. This is one that is just, you know, it never really goes out of style. So we're gonna pop it on. I did not purchase it, but let's just do a full review. I like to just dip into it, get an even amount. Definitely tap off the excess because there is some fallout with this formula. And just tap it on. I'm gonna go for more actually. So, you know, this is a very old school blush. It's a very old school color, very old school formula. It's been around for a very long time. It's tried and true. Let's talk about the color payoff. The color payoff is not that great. I've actually had to build this up quite a bit to be intense, which can be good and bad. This does have a lot of sparkle to it, which inevitably will enhance any texture or any pores you might have in this area. For me, it's this area of my face. Let's say you have that throughout your cheeks. I would probably stay away from this formula, to be totally honest, because it has a lot of shimmer in it. You know, there's a little hint of patchiness going on. Would I go back out and purchase this blush in this day and age with all the new formulas that are out there that are amazing? No. I said what I said. Next on the list, it's another $32 price point. It is a cream blush. This one is from the brand Rose Inc. And they actually are pretty well known for their cream blushes. I've tried them before, but let's test them out again. Now, I have not used this shade in particular. I have the shade Camellia. And actually, now that I'm looking at this, it does say it's a lip and cheek color. So that's nice. It's universal. You can use it in multiple ways. Now, this color looks so beautiful. I've been actually waiting to try this blush, to be quite honest. I'm really excited for this. One thing I want to mention is the brand, and this is what I like too. So the brand, you buy this as a whole. Okay, but then once you run out of your blush, then you buy refills to pop into it. So dipping into it, I'm gonna kind of break through that slightly hard top layer. Okay, now we're getting sticky. That's how you know you've broken into that cold top layer. So taking that brush, same thing, I'm gonna tap it into the top of my hand and work it. Wow, that looks pretty. That looks really pretty. Now we're gonna tap onto our cheeks. Oh, wow. Wow, okay. It's very pigmented. I know I have a lot on, but that's beside the point. We're not gonna talk about that, but we are gonna talk about how that is melting into my skin like butter. That is a beautiful, That's a beautiful formula. Wow, that is really nice. I love that. Like, first impression is this is stunning, amazing formula, beautiful. It lays beautiful on my skin. It's not overly shiny. It's not, you know, it's just, it delivers exactly what it says it's going to deliver. And I really appreciate that. It's just a beautiful cream blush, amazing pigment. It's like super pigmented, as you can probably tell. Blends incredibly easy. I basically just had to tap it on a couple times, right? Like, I didn't have to do any of the work, really. My brush did all the work for me. That was so easy. There's no patchiness. There's no streaking. It's not lifting. It's not disrupting my makeup underneath. It actually blended so nicely into my very old concealer at this point. I would give this a solid, I know we're not really rating, but I want to give this like a 10 out of 10. It's so easy. Would I go back out and repurchase the Rose Ink lip and cheek color? 1000%. In fact, I probably will very, very soon. But again, this is the shade Camellia. I'm really happy with my color choice. Beautiful. Wow. I want to wear this just right now. I want to like put on the other cheek and be done. We're moving up in price. We are now in the $33 range. This is the Powder Blush Duo from Jouer. So same scenario. You're going to find Jouer in stores at probably not every single Sephora. And also, full disclosure, I was gifted this blush. I'm very familiar with this formula. The shade that I'm going to put on for you all is the Adore Blush Duo. So I'm going to try on this one because it's going to look just, you know, way too light on me. I'm going to dip into it. I'm going to tap off the excess. I'm going to pop this on. So again, this is not a first impression for me. I am extremely familiar with this brand. I know the owner. Her and I are buds, and I'm a big fan of the brand. You know, I know all their products extremely well. Done. You know, it's like once you get a good formula, the work and the blending and the buffing is just cut in half. It's minimal. So all I did was tap that on, not even being super technical about it, and I just blended on super easy, super quick. There's zero patchiness. There's zero streakiness with this formula. The pigment is very rich. It's a great, great powder blush formula. You really cannot go wrong with the Jouer powder blushes. So would I actually go out and purchase this once I've run out? Absolutely. Highly recommend this blush. So we are now in the $35 range, and this is actually the only $35 blush that I'm about to show you. This is from the brand Nude 6. It is their classic cream blush. It's a stick blush, actually. You know by now how I feel about these brushes. So we're just gonna close that. So we're gonna talk about and focus on the formula. Now, just a little disclaimer, I did not purchase this for this particular haul, but I purchased this a little while back. So let's put this on with a favorite, the 109 from BK Beauty. I'm gonna break into the slightly harder top layer. So I know this blush very well. I just have to point that out. I'm gonna really get it into my brush, and now I'm gonna apply it to my cheek. Okay, so let's talk about this. Pigment-wise, heavily pigmented. They have, you know, a pro quality to their pigments and their blushes. This one is, oh, also I forgot to mention the shade. This is Bohemian Rose. Bohemian Rose is just beautiful. Now, one thing I want to point out about nude sticks, there is a patchiness, not always, but there is a patchiness from, you know, my experience in a lot of their blushes. And it's very subtle. It's very fine. Like, it's not overwhelming. It's not enough to like ruin it. You know, it's still a great blush, but there is a little hint of patchiness. And you have to be careful when you're applying this formula on top of either set makeup, like makeup that's set with powder, or just like perfectly applied foundation, because there is a chance that it can break apart that makeup if you're not careful. So that's why I always suggest that tapping motion and then directly applying it to the cheek from the brush. So in a couple areas, there's some patchiness. There's a patchiness here, a little bit here that I had to fill in. So you do need to work a little harder for this formula to be flawless. So keep that in mind. It is a great quality cream blush. It's, you know, it's one that I've used professionally for so many years at this point. So yeah, there's a couple little hiccups with the formula that I just have noticed as someone who's put this formula on so many people. However, even with that said, would I still go out and purchase this formula after this video? Yes, I would. And do I still recommend it? I do. Know that it's not a perfect formula, but it's pretty darn close. Next up, powder blush from Laura Mercier. This blush is $36. I had this already in my makeup collection. I purchased this a while ago. This is the shade Chai. It's one of my favorites. It's like just a beautiful, everyday kind of neutral pink. I love Chai. Chai and Fresco. Oh, if you can get your hands on Fresco, which is hard because it's always sold out, get it. I'm gonna dip into that powder blush. I'm gonna tap it off and tap it on. So, you know, again, I know this blush like the back of my hand. I've used it for years in my makeup kit. So formula-wise, it is a great, great, straightforward powder blush. It's not streaky. It has just the right amount of pigment to be very user-friendly. Anybody can pop this on and not have a difficult time blending it out. It does not disrupt your makeup underneath. It lays perfectly on your skin. Feels really nice, satiny. The only thing I would possibly have to complain about it is just the price point. 36 bucks, it's almost $40. You do get a good amount of product. Laura Mercier is a great brand, you know, quality products. So let's get to the chase. Would I repurchase this blush? Yes, and I do all the time. Next up, it's another favorite of mine. I did not purchase it for this haul, but I have purchased this in the past with my own money. This is the Patrick Ta. It's the Double Take Cream and Powder Blush. I love the shade She's So LA. It's just one of my favorites. But shade aside, we're not gonna talk about shade. Let's talk about the formula. So you get a powder on the bottom, a cream on the top. This one is $36. And to me, that's a great value. You get two pretty much, like these are full size. These are absolutely full-size products. So for $36, this is, in my opinion, a steal. I love that there's like a little, you know, protective part to keep the cream parts, you know, clean and away from the powder and the fallout that could happen. I'm gonna actually apply this the way Patrick Ta has always suggested you apply it, which is the opposite of what you would think. So normally you would put a cream down first and you would set it with a powder to make it more impactful, to lock it down, give it longevity. He has always suggested doing the opposite, and I've never done that because I've always been like, it's a little sketchy. But for this video, let's just try it. Let's try it out. Okay, so we're gonna start with the powder. We're gonna dip into that beautiful powder. I'm gonna tap off the excess. I'm gonna pop it on. Now, I know it's not gonna look super dark or impactful because it is such a light, you know, natural shade, but the way this goes on is just very easy. You know, it's a good amount of pigment. It's not patchy. It's easy to work with. So great powder formula. I love this shade so much. I have one of these in my makeup kit too. I've gone through multiples of these in my makeup kit because it's one of my favorites. Now I'm gonna put this brush down. I'm gonna now switch to A507 from BK Beauty, and now we're gonna do the Patrick Ta trick, which is layering the cream on top of the powder. I'm gonna dip it on top of my hand just to be, you know, careful. So now with that product, we're gonna layer this on top. So from what I understand, he likes to layer it in this order because the cream, and this makes sense, totally makes sense. The cream brings that skin-like quality back into your complexion. I'm actually surprised I've never tried his method with his blushes because that worked so well. That was beautiful. That was so easy. You know, a couple taps and you're done. I love his blush formulas so much. So without further ado, I think you know my thoughts on this. So would I go back out and repurchase the Patrick Ta blushes? 100%. Highly recommend this formula. Next up, I'm very excited for this. I've been meaning to try this formula for a very long time. This is from the brand One Size. Now this blush is $38, but you get three. You get three, okay? So where do I begin? I just feel like the value for $38 is phenomenal. Packaging alone, like, okay, you know, by now you know I'm a sucker for packaging. I love this packaging. I love Patrick Ta's packaging so much. So that aside, you get a cream formula that also has that little cute little flap to keep it nice and protected. Cream formula, matte formula, shimmer formula. Now, how do we try them all? So let me just throw in a little layering technique while we're here. So we're gonna start with the cream blush first, okay? I'm gonna dip into that. I think this is gonna be very pigmented. So I'm going to work, oh, wow. Whoa, wow. That is some serious pro makeup pigment going on right now. Okay, from there, Wow. Okay. I'm kind of scared. From there, we're gonna tap this onto our cheek. Beautiful. Okay, I'm gonna put it out there. Not my favorite brush at all for this application, but wow, that is unbelievably pigmented. Wow. This packs a punch. There's no patchiness other than just me not working it in with the brush enough. The texture of it is beautiful. The finish of it is beautiful. I love that it's not like overly shiny. This is a beautiful cream blush. I am very blown away right now. So now, powder formula. Wow, also very pigmented, as you can tell. I love the smiley faces in the center. That's so cute. Like, let's layer this on top of the cream. Oof. Wow. Wow. Very pigmented. That thoroughly set that cream in place. You know, these are not joking around as far as the pigments go. So something to keep in mind if you are new to makeup and you're just not the most confident with your blending, you're gonna want to be a little more careful with this product because it is so pigmented, like heavily pigmented. All right, now for the really fun part. I'm really anxious to try this actually. I'm gonna just pop this on with a Shiseido brush. I'm gonna dip into that. It's very sparkly, okay. Ooh, that's really pretty. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna work this into the palm of my hand. This is just something I like to do when I'm in doubt of how this is gonna go on. So now with what's left over on my brush. Ooh, wow. Gosh, you know, I can't wait to try these all on their own as well. But this is no joke as far as the pigment. This is not for the faint of heart. I know this looks wild right now. I know. I don't know what it looks like on camera. But just for the sake of trying this out and testing it out and showing you all how pigmented these 3 products are, wow. In this, for $38, you get 3 different formulas of blushes, all beautifully made and great quality. Would I go back on and repurchase this? 100%. I highly recommend this. I don't think it's for beginners. I'm just going to say that again. But I highly, highly recommend this formula. This is a standout to me. Next up is a blush from Haus Labs. If you know me, you know I am obsessed with the Triclone Skin Tech Foundation. I'm very excited to try the blush. I have never touched it. So I got the shade Hibiscus Haze, which looks beautiful. But these are called the Color Fuse Blush. So it's a matte powder blush. Love the embossed, you know, H for Haus Labs. I'm gonna apply this one with a 127 Luxe Sheer Cheek from Zoeva. I'm gonna dip into it. Looks really pretty. I'm gonna tap off the excess. Let's try it. Maybe I tapped it off too much. Aw, I'm kind of sad. I'm actually really sad. It's patchy. It's a little patchy. It's not horrible, but it's a little, there's some patchiness going on for sure. And I know it's not this brush because this brush does not, it's, you know, it's like a smooth applicator. Let's try a little more. Okay, so you just have to work a little bit harder. There's still some patchiness going on here, and I've definitely worked this into that area. Now we're gonna try a method that I don't love. I'm gonna try to buff it out. But usually, in my experience, if you try to buff and over manipulate the product too much, it actually just ends up getting worse, and you end up with a patch that you can't even fill. So that's why I don't do it. I try to really avoid that. Okay, patchiness aside. That is a bummer. Pigment wise, it wasn't as pigmented as I thought it was going to be, you know, just based on like what it looks like. Even though I'm not talking about color, this color is beautiful. It actually has a sheen to it, which I didn't know. This definitely has like a sheen. So it's not like a one-dimensional matte blush. I really like that. Formula wise, it's fine. Would I actually go back out and buy this blush again? I wouldn't, and I'm sad to say that. It's pretty, okay, it's pretty. But taking into consideration, once again, all the incredible powder blushes that I've just tried prior to this one that are less expensive, for that reasoning, I wouldn't go out and purchase it again. Okay, we're moving on up to the $39 price range. And the first one we're gonna try for that price range is the Neo Nude Color Melting Balm for cheeks and eyes from Armani. I love Armani. I love the Luminous Silk Foundation. I've actually always wanted to get my hands on this formula blush to try, but they've always been out of stock. So I'm really happy to have this now. The shade that I ended up getting was, okay, the package is gone. I'll make sure I link it all, of course, and including the name, but the back of this just says 30. I know there's an actual shade. I'll find it for you all. So I'm gonna apply this cream blush with the 106 from BK Beauty. I'm gonna dip into it. I love this color. I hope it does not disappoint me. So this is a cool texture. So it's called a melting color balm. But when you think balm, you think really wet and like emollient, or at least I do. This is not that. This feels more like, it's like almost like a matte balm. So let's try it out. Okay, so just like I thought, it is matte. It definitely has more of a matte finish, which I really like. That is very cool. Okay, I know it's not an even application at the moment, but that I know is my fault. Got a little excited. And actually, you know, I did not use my back of the hand method, and I'm kicking myself for that because I had a harder time to blend this out. So that aside, you know, user error aside, it blended out really easy. It blended out easy. I love this finish. It's really pretty. It is heavily pigmented. Like the color payoff is super rich. I personally like the fact that it's not an overly shiny finish. This gives me more of like a semi-matte finish, which I like. The feeling is really nice. I feel like this would be a really good formula for oily skin people. I think dry skin could use this too, 100%. But if you're looking for like a, you know, if you have oily skin, you're looking for a cream formula that's not going to be overly shiny, this would be a really nice one worth checking out. Would I go out and actually repurchase this if I was being a little extra and I wanted to treat myself? Yes. And I hope that makes sense as an answer. Are there better formulas that are less expensive? Yes. It doesn't need to be $39, but it's really beautiful. Moving on. Another $39 one. This is the NARS, I believe this is called the Multiple. So it's a stick product to stick blush. It's in the shade Orgasm. So we just tested out not too long ago the powder version of this shade. Now let's test out the stick. Full disclosure, I bought this for my NARS full face YouTube tutorial. If you caught that and you saw me use this, you already know what it looks like. But for those who don't know, let's try it on. So I like to really get in there and work it and warm it up. So I'm going to warm it up. I'm definitely going to continue to warm this up on the top of my hand. This is a more sheer shade in the Orgasm collection. It could be viewed as more of a highlighter and less of a blush, but since it has the Orgasm name, I thought that it had to be included in this. So we're going to pop this on. And it's beautiful. Sorry, spoiler alert, it's beautiful. I already know this. I have been using this for months now. It's a beautiful, beautiful product. And this is a good multiple use product. So you could use this on its own for, you know, depending on your skin tone, a very, very light natural blush. So on me, this just looks like a very, very soft, very subtle hint of pink with a lot of shimmer. Now, if you have deeper skin, this is a really cool product to be used as a layering product. So meaning you would put like your deeper blush first and you would layer this on top to get that extra like light reflecting highlighting quality. So it could be a blush topper, or depending on your skin tone, like I said, it could be your standalone blush. I'm somewhere on the lower end of that, right? So on me, it just looks like a really light, natural blush. But formula-wise, let's cut to the chase. Formula is nice. I do have to work it a little more than some of the other cream formulas, like the stick formulas. I have to kind of warm it up on my skin a lot prior to make sure it just melts into my skin. However, it's not patchy, it's not streaky. It really does not disrupt your makeup underneath unless you're really being hard and aggressive with your blending. So with that said, would I go back out and repurchase it? No, because there's so many that are better. Are you ready for a really beautiful blush? Because I am. I've been waiting to do this one throughout this whole video. This is also $39. It is from Pat McGrath Labs. It is the Blush Without Caution. Oh, I didn't realize it was called that. That's cute. This just threw me. I had a really funny like little novel on the back of it. What shade did I get? Love Struck. Okay, so this is actually, here's the correct name. Okay, it's below it, it's really small. It's the Skin Fetish Divine Blush in the shade Love Struck. I had a hard time picking out which shade to get. It's a matte blush, beautiful packaging. Would you expect anything less from Pat McGrath? Probably not. I wouldn't. This embossed rose with the sunbeams coming out. Oh, I'm gonna dip this into this beautiful new blush and we're gonna try it out. I've never tried this formula, so I'm very excited. I'm gonna tap off the excess and we're gonna apply it. Wow. It's soft and beautiful. Okay. So it's a buildable formula, but the pigment is still there. It's still a beautifully pigmented blush. No streaking. There's no patchiness. Wow. Feels incredible on my skin. Okay, so formula-wise, amazing formula. Yes, it's $39, but you know, you're getting a really great quality, high-performing blush. The finish is stunning. I love this blush. Wow, I'm really impressed. I really like that a lot. With all that being said, would I go out and repurchase this? I would. Okay, moving on. We have one last blush in the $39 range, and this is from the brand Fashion Fair. I was so happy that this was a brand that was in the Sephora that I went and purchased all these from. I specifically went to a Sephora that I knew had all the brands, just to be honest. I made sure of that because for the sake of this video. This brand is a brand that I've actually been wanting to try for a very long time. So $39 and you get 2 formulas, which I love. I'm all about that value. That's great. And they're big sizes. So you get a cream blush on the top and a powder on the bottom. Love this packaging. I know it's not about packaging, but come on, that's beautiful. The shade that I got is Rich Plum. The brand has 3 different shades. This is the one that I ended up choosing. Now the way I want to apply this is I want to put the cream first and I'm going to layer the powder on top. I'm going to dip right in. Okay, I think I need to work a little bit harder than I thought. I'm going to press this onto my cheeks. Okay. So the cream part is it's not super pigmented, and I really had to dig in there to get that onto my brush, but I'm just surprised. I thought the color payoff was going to be really, really intense just looking at it. It did blend on very, very easily, so that's nice. It's more of a satin finish cream, which I also am a big, big fan of. I wish there was a little more pigment, but let's layer the powder on top. Now for the powder portion, I'm going to apply with my Travel 107 from BK Beauty. I'm going to dip into it. Okay. It's got a decent amount of fallout. I'm definitely going to tap off the excess. And we're going to layer this on top. Whoa, okay. All right, wow, that's pigmented, okay. All right, so there's a user error. I've never tried this formula before, but whoa, that blush is pigmented. Wow. We're going to try to overlook the mass amount of blush that I just put on. We're going to overlook that and talk about the technical things about this blush. It's extremely smooth. There is zero patchiness with this powder formula. It is heavily pigmented. It makes up for any lack of pigment in the cream. So you do, when you think about it that way, if you were to purchase this, you get the best of both worlds. You get a sheer, more natural cream, and then you get a intense, highly pigmented, very easy to blend on powder. Would I go back out and repurchase this? I actually would. The next one up on the list is a $40 blush. It's from DIOR. I bought this not for this haul, separate. If you know me, you know my channel, and you know my Instagram, you know I already love this blush. But I was hesitant to try it for a long time because it was just, you know, overhyped and I didn't want to buy into it. Spoiler alert, I love this blush, but I'm still going to put it on for the sake of this video. This is the DIOR Backstage 001 Pink Rosy Glow Blush. I'm going to dip into that beautiful pink blush and pop it on my cheeks. So $40, I know. It's a lot. It's a lot for one single pan blush. And you know, there's a reason why I was hesitant to buy it for as long as I was. Now, a couple things I want to point out that I really enjoy about it. I enjoy that you can build it up. So one stroke of it, one application is actually going to be pretty sheer, pretty light. But this is a very buildable blush. So if it's not showing up quite enough initially, now granted, this is not going to be for every skin tone. This is not going to show up on deeper skin tones. It just is not. You know, they need more variety, clearly. Is it groundbreaking? No. Does it go on smooth? Yes, it goes on very smooth. There's no patchiness. There's no streakiness to it. You know that I love this blush, but I'm going to be very honest with you. Would I go back out and repurchase it? No. There's just, for 40 bucks, that's a lot. Way less expensive powder blushes on the market that work just as great. If not, they outperform. Moving up to $42 range. I have a couple in the $42 range. They are both from Charlotte Tilbury. We're gonna start with the new formula. It is pretty popular. It's been talked about a lot. I have a lot of thoughts on this blush, so let's get right into it. It's the Pillow Talk Matte Beauty Blush Wand. I'm going to try on the shade Peach Pop because I've had just the best experience with Peach Pop, so I want to give this like a good, fair review. So a couple things that really drive me insane. It's just messy, and I close it, and then it gets opened, and it twists on its own. It does all these things. It's just messy. I don't like this applicator at all. These will never go in my makeup kit to use professionally because it's just, they're a nightmare. But I'm going to take that, pop it on the top of my hand. And also I forgot to mention, I purchased this with my own money prior to this haul because I wanted to try the new formula. So the way I have the best results is the way I have the best results with all these liquid and cream formulas. I'm gonna tap it onto the top of my hand, work it into a brush, and from there, apply it to my cheeks. Now, if you are very careful, then this is a stunning blush. However, if you're not very careful, like I'm even like talking slowly so I can make sure I don't screw this up. This throws me every time. So I've learned to apply it in a way that it does look, it looks really beautiful, okay? I'm gonna give it that. It looks beautiful. Now the Pillow Talk one, this one for some reason goes on so patchy. I don't know if it's just this shade, you know, frustrating because it's a lot of money, but that one is just, I can't get it to go on smoothly. This looks really beautiful now, but most of the time it goes on streaky and patchy. All that to say, you shouldn't have to work so hard to make a formula work, okay? So that's just kind of the bottom line. The pigment is good. It's fine, you know, it's good. Middle of the road. Like I said, if you choose the wrong brush, if you don't apply it in a very, very like intentional way, it will look really streaky. But above all, the thing that I've noticed the most, and I didn't have it with this application because I have tried it so many times, okay? I know how to like finesse it now. But what I've really noticed is it breaks apart your makeup. And for me, that's just a no-go. So would I go back and repurchase this based on all those things I just told you? Definitely not. Absolutely not. And I also don't recommend it. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be mean. I love Charlotte Tilbury, but I don't recommend this blush. Moving on to my next Charlotte Tilbury. This is the powder blush. This is the Cheek to Chic. I love that name, actually. And I have the shade Ecstasy. I have a couple. They're actually all in my makeup kit. This one is mine personally. I love this formula. I think it's beautiful. But let me show you what it looks like on. I've always been a fan of this formula, just to be totally honest with you. I've always thought this works beautiful. Now this is a very light shade, so it's not gonna be, you know, the most impactful on camera. So try not to judge the tone of it because it is a lighter shade. This does contain quite a bit of shimmer, but it's not like a chunky shimmer where it draws out, you know, skin texture and it brings out your skin texture or like pores. It doesn't make your pores look larger unless you really pack it on. Very smooth, very easy to apply. There's no patchiness, there's no streaking. It's just a really good formula. This is a beautiful blush. It is a beautiful, beautiful, high quality. I could put this on all day. So would I go back out and repurchase this blush from Charlotte Tilbury, this formula? 100%. So I highly recommend it. I know it's pricey, but I do think this one is worth it. Okay, we're getting up there in prices, okay? So we are in the $45 range, and for that, we're gonna try on this Hourglass. It's the Ambient Strobe Lighting Blush. There's so many beautiful shades in this blush. I had a hard time. I picked up Euphoric Fusion, and I'm actually really, really excited for this color. I hope that it's as beautiful on as it was when I swatched it on the top of my hand in Sephora. You know, if you know Hourglass, they have very luxe packaging, very expensive, bougie packaging. We're gonna dip into this blush. You know, there's something about this marbling, the marbling of the colors. It's just stunning. I'm such a sucker for pretty makeup. It's really sad. So dipping into it, I'm gonna stop. I just feel like I'm not getting enough color in it, but I probably am. You know, I'm just gonna tap off a little bit. And let's try it out. Ooh. Okay. My side note, my cheek. This cheek hurts so bad. I'm laughing and crying inside because this cheek hurts so bad. I actually feel like this cheek is getting swollen as this video goes on because it's been tortured. And my husband, you know, he keeps saying like, well, why don't you switch to this side? I'm like, no, it needs to be just cohesive throughout. You know, it's gotta be the one cheek only. Oh my God. I don't know what my face is gonna look like on this side tomorrow when I wake up, but I'll keep you posted. All right, jokes aside, I'm not surprised I like this blush because I'm a huge fan of the ambient lighting trio of powders. I am obsessed with them. I have them in my collection. I have tons in my makeup kit, and they're just stunning, worth every penny. They're expensive. I think it's like $70 for the trio. Okay, so once again, this is $45. It's not cheap. It's not affordable at all. But let's just talk about the product now. Okay, this just gets prettier and prettier the more I touch my face with it. It's stunning. It's just stunning. I don't even know how else to describe it. Formula-wise, went on super easy. There's no patchiness. There's no streaking. It blended out effortlessly, like effortlessly. So if you want a beautiful, luminous, not glittery, not shimmery, but a beautiful, luminous powder blush, I don't think there's anything that looks better than this. Touching my cheek feels really good because it's so sore, but also because this is so smooth and nice. So would I go back out and repurchase this for $45? I would run and go do it. I wouldn't even hesitate. I know it's expensive, but sometimes products are just worth the splurge. I think this is definitely worth the splurge and investment. Last one in the $45 range is one that I am very excited for and take the excuse to buy this blush because for a long time I was like, no, I don't need it. No, it's too much money, blah, blah, blah. Well, it's here now and I have it. I've always wanted this blush from Dior in the shade in particular. It's the Rouge Blush in the shade Charnel or Charnel. We'll go with Charnel. You know, it comes with things that are pretty useless, but they make you feel like you get more for your money. For example, it comes with this pretty little velvet bag, which I'll never put it back in because it just takes up too much time putting it in and out. But I'll save it for years on end until one day I finally decide to clean up my stuff and throw it out. So we don't need it. The other thing we don't need is this useless size brush. This is not gonna work. Mitch says I should try it. I don't want to do it. I just don't want to do it. It goes against all my morals. I'm not gonna use this, and I don't think it's not. Just put it away. Stop doing that, Dior. It's so dated. You know, it's dated. Come to 2023, please. We don't need that. Let's try it on because it's beautiful. And what else bothers me is I hate looking at this empty hole. You know, make the blush bigger. Give me more blush. Instead, I'd be so happy if that was the case. Let's move on. I'm going to apply this with a 168. So we're gonna dip into that blush. I'm gonna tap off the excess as I would, and we're gonna pop it on. Oh, this has a shimmer to it. Okay, that's a nice surprise. So I've dipped back in now for the third time. So it's a lot more sheer than I would expect it to be, but it's buildable. As you can see, I just built it up to be a lot more intense. There's some patchiness going on up here in this region, which is a bummer. You know, it's not horrible, but for $45 and for Dior, I would want a little bit more. The patchiness is very slight, but it is there, so I have to point it out. Other than the patchiness, it went on very easy. It's blending out really easy. Color payoff is nice. It's not as intense, like I said, but it is buildable, which you know I do enjoy. You know, it's pretty. It's really, really pretty. I love this color. Just a side note. It's wanting to be like the Hourglass. It's wanting to be it, but it's not quite there. Do I like it? Is it pretty now that I have it? Am I going to keep wearing it? Yes. Will you see this in other tutorials of mine? 100%, because I'm going to get my money's worth. The finish is really nice. It is really nice. It feels good on my skin. The only thing I have to complain about is just the price points. The useless items that come with it are very dated and they're just not useful. Would I go back out and repurchase it? No. Are you going to see me using it time and time again? Get ready, because yes. This is the only one that is $46 and it's from Hourglass. You know, again, are you surprised? This is one that I've wanted to try for a while, so I'm very excited to have my hands on it and again to have that excuse to purchase it when I don't need it. This is the Hourglass Vanish Cream Blush. I bought the shade Devoted. Now for this formula, I'm gonna grab my favorite brush for this type of stick and it's the 109 from BK Beauty. I'm gonna twist this up. Now, let me just see, how much do you get? All right, so you get a decent amount of product in here. There's actually a lot of blush. Yeah, there's actually a lot of blush in here. So that makes me really happy. If I twist this up, it would go all the way up. From what I know, because I have their stick foundations in my makeup kit that I use, I really like. And those things keep going and going and going. They're like never ending. So anyway, let's get this on. I'm gonna work it onto my brush. Oh, that color's pretty. Okay, color aside, we're not gonna discuss color, but that's really, really pretty. And we're gonna pop it on our very sore left cheek. Wow, okay. Wow. All right. I didn't want to like it so much because it's $46. Wow, though. That's beautiful. Oh, that was so easy to blend on. The pigment is unbelievable. Like, that's a beautifully pigmented cream blush. I love the finish. The finish is like, you know, more of like a satin finish. It's not overly shiny, which is a personal preference, you know. Finishes like this tend, in my experience, they tend to stay put and last longer throughout the day. So they have more like longevity. That blended on so quick and so easy. I applied way too much. So that's another note. A little bit goes a long way. They're heavily pigmented, like I said. So you'll need a tiny bit of this blush. So when you think about it, this 2 ounces of cream product is gonna last you a very long time. I think this would take you like 3 years to go through all of this, to be honest. So I don't know, I'm torn about that. I just wanna like point it out, be really informative and thorough with this review. Would I go back out and repurchase this? It'd be tough because there are so many cream blushes that I really, really like. I'm gonna be really, really honest. I'm gonna say no, I wouldn't repurchase it. Just not because of the formula or anything to do with it technically, but just because there are so many others that are just as good on the market that are cheaper. So for that reason, purely alone, I wouldn't go back out and repurchase it. But do I love it? Yeah, I love it. Are you gonna see me use it on all my channels all the time? Yes, so get ready for that. Moving on up. $49, Westman Atelier. It's the cream blush. This is in my personal collection. I did not buy this for this video, but I've purchased it before for my makeup kit. I'm a huge fan of this blush. I'm not gonna lie. I know it's pricey, but it works really, really well. I use this mostly in my professional makeup kit. I have quite a few in my makeup kit that I love and I grab so often, and my clients love it. Let's try it out. Let's act like it's the first time, even though, you know, spoiler alert, I love this product. So this has a little magnetized lid, very bougie, feels very high end. It is very high end. It's a nice packaging, like really, really nice, solid packaging. Gold trim on the inside. So I'm going to apply the shade Petal. Petal is just a beautiful, it's like what I call like a daily pink. You know, it looks good on so many different skin tones. And we're gonna pop it on with one of my favorite brushes, the 106. Same technique as all the other sticks. We're gonna dip into the product, work it onto the brush. From there, I'm gonna lightly pat it into my hand and we're gonna apply it. So this is not new to me. Like I said, I am very, very familiar with this blush. And the reason why, you know, it's a staple in my makeup kit professionally is because of it is a very, very long wearing cream blush. I have used this actually in the past on brides. It has great longevity. It grips onto the skin. There's no patchiness. There's no streakiness. It wears beautifully on top of different layers of makeup. So like your foundations, you can put this on top of powders very easily. It doesn't disrupt anything that's underneath, which is a very important thing, especially for me when I'm buying a blush for my makeup kit. So it checks all those boxes. The pigment is gorgeous. It's a great pigmented blush. It's also buildable. So I'm gonna take a little more. I'm gonna show you how you can build it up. So it's gonna layer a little bit more on top to build up that color. And it's effortless. It blends out so easy. I'm just tapping it into my skin and I'm done. Finish wise, it's a beautiful, higher shine satin finish. And I'm a big fan of this blush. I really am. Now, another reason why I have repurchased this time and time again is with my clients, with a lot of my clients, there is a certain level of expectation. Like they expect a certain level of product to be in my kit, to be used on them. And this is just me being as brutally honest as possible. So a lot of my clients, they want to see, a lot of them, I'm not speaking for all of them, but a lot of them want to see higher end makeup. They want to know that like very high end makeup. And don't take this the wrong way. They want to know that high-end makeup is being applied to their face and they're getting a lot of value for their makeup application. Because, not to go on a whole side rant, but, getting a makeup artist to come to you and to be with you all day and to touch you up, this is a luxury service. Like, it's no joke. Hiring a makeup artist, somebody to come and do your makeup to the best of their ability, it is a high-end luxury service. So when you really break it down, and maybe I'll go into this another time in a different video, but when you really break it down, that comes with a certain expectation, and that expectation is putting high-end luxury makeup on their face. So I hope that really in a roundabout way gives you some more context as to why I've repurchased this so many times. I feel like it does. Just when you thought it couldn't get more expensive, hold on to your seat because it's about to get really pricey over here. This one is still okay. This is a Gucci powder blush. I bought the shade Bright Coral. It actually says it's a cheeks and eye powder, so you could put this on as an eyeshadow, which is actually cool. I mean, most of these you could anyway, in theory, but it's cool they say that. This is $49. Packaging alone, come on. I feel like this is like one of those packages that, like packaging that you would keep as a collector item for the rest of your life, basically, and just hold on to it, which I will do that. You will find me at 80 years old holding on to my Gucci blush because of that. This is beautiful, super luxe. Would you expect anything less from Gucci? Probably not. So I'm really excited that I had the excuse to buy this blush because otherwise I would have never done it. I would have never parted with my money to do that other than for this video. So let's try it on. It smells good. It's scented, just an FYI. But it smells really good. So I'm going to put it on with just a small powder brush. I'm going to dip into it. Oh, okay, lots of fallout. Tap off the excess for sure. All right, let's tap it on. Oh, okay. I was expecting it to be patchy, I'm not gonna lie. In my head, I was like, this is gonna be patchy. This is not gonna be worth it. My mind was made up ahead of time. I had decided before even trying it that it was gonna be patchy and this and that. It's not, it's beautiful. Beautiful. It's buildable. I just dipped into it 2 more times. It's definitely buildable. Other than my baby hairs getting in the way, it is a very smooth blend. There's no patchiness. There's no streaks. Color payoff is very nice. It's not super intense, but again, that's good because you can build it up. You get that chance to have like different, variations in tones with one blush. Fragrance wise, I like the fragrance. I like it a lot. I like fragrance in certain products. It smells kind of fruity, which I like. So if you're someone who doesn't like fragrance in their cosmetics and you don't want that on your skin, you're going to want to skip this. You want a really luxurious high-end powder blush that goes on easy, is streak-free, easy to blend, all those things, then you're going to like it. And if you want to treat yourself, you're going to like it. Most important thing, would I go back out and repurchase this Gucci blush? No, I wouldn't. A million other powder blushes that look just as good for either half the price or at least, $10 less. So I wouldn't go back out and repurchase it, but are you going to see me use it? Get ready, because you are, because I'm going to get my money's worth. We have 2 left. If you stayed with me to the very end of this video, I wish I could give you a hug because, I really appreciate it. Otherwise, I would have been really lonely if you didn't stay on for this entire time. This is the Valentino Eye2Cheek blush. This is the shade 5. There's an actual name for it as well. It's just not on the back, but I'll make sure it's listed below, so don't worry, you'll find it. This blush is $52. Now, full disclosure, I was sent this by the brand in PR. I was thrilled when I got it, and I love this blush so much. But this packaging though, look at this. Luxury makeup at its finest. Come on, it's beautiful, it's stunning. She's an icon, she's a legend. She is the moment, right? Like, she's stunning. But look at the embossed. I don't feel like it smells. Can't tell. I think my senses are off after all this blush applying. So without further ado, let's put this blush to the test. I know that this brush works really well with this embossed formula. So it's the 107 from BK Beauty. I'm gonna tap into it. I'm gonna get it nice and coated. I'm gonna tap off the excess. There is very minimal fallout with this blush, which I really appreciate. Now let me show you what it looks like on. So, now like I mentioned, I've used this blush many, many times. And I really enjoy this blush. I really like it. I think it's a beautiful shade, first of all. But shade aside, it is a beautiful formula. It's great quality. You can tell the quality is there. However, there are some things that I don't like about it. And, you know, although I'm so appreciative that I have it in my possession, I do enjoy it, it could be a little smoother in the application. So the pigment is good. It's not great. It's not the most intensely pigmented blush, which is okay. You know, it's not a big deal because you can build it up just like I mentioned with others. The thing that bothers me the most is if you're really not careful, this will go on very patchy. It's hard to get an even application right away. So you kind of have to work a little bit harder. You have to really be careful with what brush you choose, just to be very honest. And from what I've experienced, that's been like the toughest thing, is choosing the right brush. Density, softness, all those things have to come into play for this blush to look flawless on your skin. This blush I once absolutely was obsessed with. I loved it. I think I even had it in a favorites video because it's been a favorite for a while. Now, just based off of all of the knowledge that I now have after filming this video and after sitting down and trying, because I've already tried a million blushes, right? But I haven't sat down and tried this many different formulas in I don't know when, like ever, you know. This is a ton of blushes. So based really purely on how many amazing powder formulas I've tried throughout this whole video, I have to keep that in mind. And because of that, I'm gonna have to say, even though I love this blush, I would not go back out and repurchase it just purely based on just the broad range of products I've tried in this video alone and how many great inexpensive powder formulas there are on the market. It wouldn't be genuine for me to say that I would repurchase it for that reason. So kind of sad, but just being brutally honest, we've reached the moment that I've been waiting for, that I hope you've been waiting for, that I hope you've stuck around for. I'm about to show you what the most expensive blush looks like on my face. Now, can you guess how much it is? Comment below what you actually, like what the first number was off the top of your head that you thought it would be. Okay, drum roll please. And as a reminder, the last most expensive blush was $52. Okay, are you ready for it? I wasn't even ready for it. It is the Tom Ford Shade and Illuminate blush at a whopping $95. $95 US dollars. Why? Like the Shade and Illuminate that I'm a huge diehard fan of is $89, and that's a tough pill to swallow. But at least I get so much use out of it, and that's lasted me for a long, long time. This is a powder blush. All right, I'm not gonna hate on it too much because I do really want to try it, and I want to give it a really fair try. I don't want to go in it with like bad thoughts. So we're gonna wipe the slate clean. We're gonna forget about the $95 price tag for a minute so we can talk about the formula and how it applies. So it is a duo blush. As you can see, you get two really beautiful colors. I ended up getting the shade 05 Sun Drunk. We're gonna apply this with a clean, very soft and fine 05 brush from Refy. I actually want to just kind of swirl into all of them. You know, there's nothing separating them. They're meant to kind of work together. Oh, there was a lot of fallout. Okay, so no scent. Okay, let's hold our breath. Let's say a little prayer that this is worth the $95, okay? So I'm gonna start by tapping it on. Whoa. Cloud of fallout. Oh man. My cheek hurts so bad at this point. I am being so delicate and it feels like someone's like clobbering my face right now. Wow. Okay, so we have a lot to talk about. Yes, it's wow. Yeah, it went on like pure butter and it looks so smooth. It feels like satin and cashmere and silk and all those fine materials on my skin. It feels amazing. It looks beautiful. It blended out like a dream. Let's talk about the other things. So yes, this is stunning. There's no patchiness. There's no streakiness. The pigmentation is beautiful. Like the color payoff is rich. It's beautiful. You could probably build this up. I'm going to tap on a little bit more. Yeah, you can build it up to be more intense. I love my color choice. Is it worth it? Because I have nothing bad to say about the formula. The formula looks beautiful. I mean, it looks beautiful. It feels stunning. There's nothing wrong about this formula. It is perfection. However, does that make it justify the $95 price tag? No, absolutely not. I'm sorry. Absolutely not. You know, are we like just trained as a society to accept it because we're buying the name Tom Ford? Yeah, but does that make it right? No. So, oh my gosh, without going through so many emotions over the price tag and this formula, I'm going to be honest. So that what you're buying with that price tag, you're only buying the name. So yeah, this is a beautiful powder blush. It feels amazing, looks amazing. But you know, to really be honest, like, is it worth $95? No way on earth. You know what? Full honesty. This is going to go, I'm going to sanitize this. And it's going to go into my makeup kit, and my clients are going to get so much joy out of this blush, and it's going to look beautiful on so many of them. So will I go out and repurchase it? I won't. Does that mean that, you know, you shouldn't give it a try? If you have the disposable income and you want to treat yourself to a $95 blush, you're worth it. Do it. So thank you for sticking with me throughout this entire video. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Give this video a big thumbs up for all of the hard work and for my sore cheek. And if you like this video, you can check out this one here, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.